Sorry, I had to wait till that truck got by. And I'm sorry I'm coughing. But they've been digging up dirt, moving dirt, dumping dirt, messing with dirt, stirring up dirt all day. And I've been out here trying to work in my garden and get this done, and I'm breathing all that dust that I'm allergic to. So that's why I'm coughing, and I'm sorry, but I can't help it. But anyway, mm, I want to show you another way that you can feed your plants, and I do this quite often with mine. I got a hot soldering iron. I'm gonna plug it in and get it hot. Oh man, I don't know if I'm gonna survive all this house building and dirt moving and all this other stuff that goes on during the time they build homes, but it's killing me. They've been building homes all around me, and it just plays chaos with my allergies because it keeps stuff stirred up in the air all the time that I'm allergic to. I can get this on. I think it's on. I've been making so much racket over there. But this is a Greek yogurt cup. But it's a pretty sturdy cup. It's got a pretty sturdy lid on it. And you need the lid for these containers for what I'm going to do. And this is a 32 ounce container, which is good. Because you always need the lids on them. These are cat treat containers. And I wanted to show you, I leave that paper filler on it because that little bit around the edge helps seal the lid when I put it on there. And you just have that little section open here in the corner where the opening is in the lid, and it helps keep your lid on there securely like that. You just need a little opening, opening big enough to just stuff something down in there. And I did the same way with this bigger one. I left the paper on it, the seal, and I just cut a hole where the hole was in the corner. Now you can use any kind of containers as long as you've got a lid that'll fasten securely on there. Because this is the way we're going to feed our plants, in our buckets and our totes, our great big, raised bed garden, wherever you decide to plant. We're just going to go through here and put holes. This thing heats up pretty fast, so you don't have to wait. But I'm just going to put numerous amount of holes around it. I don't want them all up the sides. I just want them basically on the bottom half. You can see what I'm doing. They don't have to be in line. They don't have to be pretty. I'll put some in the bottom. Just like that. I got holes all the way around. I'm going to do my yogurt container the same way. I'm going to put a couple holes in the bottom. And it's always best to use these outside, not inside, because they smoke. You don't want to breathe it. You just want some drain holes around the bottom. Any kind of containers. A coffee container, if it's big enough to hold, you know, at least, what did I say this was? A 32 ounce? If it's at least 32 ounces, it's big enough. Now I'm going to unplug this and let it cool down. I've already got holes in this one, and I could probably put a few more in it. But just put them below halfway. You don't need them at the top. In fact, we don't want them at the top. Now I'm going to lay that right there. And let it be cooling off. Yeah, I'm still working on my shelving unit. But we're going to go around here and I'm going to show you how to use it. If I don't drop everything. It's a beautiful day today, but it's kind of chilly. I stay out here very long, my nose tries to run. Let's see. This one is probably big enough to put here. Or I could even put my yogurt container. And what I'm going to do, I hope I can get you to see. I need the other. Well, put it over here, maybe I can get to let you see. There, that's a good deal right there. And you especially do this if you don't want any more dirt in here. What you do, you dig a hole in the corner just deep enough to cover half of this, or at least get the holes under the dirt. So that's what I'm going to do right here. I want it up a little bit higher than that. There. Put the dirt back all around it, but you want several inches above the dirt. You know, your top of your container. And and then you can take your lid off. And I went around and I broke off some collard leaves and green leaves and stuff. Now that you just throw right in there. Just stuff it down in there and forget about it. Now that will break down as you water your tote when you got, you know, your plants in there. It'll keep that wet since you got the holes under the ground or under the dirt. And as those leaves break down, they'll emit moisture that comes out of the bottom of the container, which is plant food, fertilizer for your plants. Now you can put any type of a scrap in there that does not attract ants. You don't want anything that will attract ants. Like you can put potato peelings, apple peelings, greens like I just said. You can put cabbage leaves, lettuce, cucumbers, anything of that nature in there, and it's going to break down and make plant food for your plants. Now, you know, I could have put that one right in the corner. I've got plenty of room. But any of these you can use. You just have to put one container in each tote or each great big pot that you have. And the same way with this. You know, it's got a little flap right there. And that's plenty big enough to stuff leaves down through. Or pieces of carrot or pieces of potato peeling or something like that, and then you can close it up. That way it doesn't attract flies, it doesn't attract gnats or anything like that. It's not going to make mosquitoes because the holes are under the dirt and the top is closed, and that's what you want. But there is what is it, Folgers coffee that comes in like the round tubs with the screw on top. That's a perfect container, and I've got several of them in the house that I'm going to use, but I don't have them empty yet. But I've been saving my cat treat containers because they're perfect. As long as you can keep the lid on and just open that, that's a perfect container to use. And there's the bigger one. You know, the bigger one would be great even to put in the raised bed garden back there. Or you could, like I said, you can still put it in the corner of a tote. It doesn't take up that much. You can put it right there like that, and you got plenty of room around the rest of your tote to plant something. And with it in the corner, you have easier access to it to open it, stuff leaves or whatever down in it, and you're good to go. You're feeding your plants. And that's another tip I wanted to show you. I'm going to save these until I decide where I want to put them. I haven't decided yet, but I did want one in this one. I might put one in that one over there. Yeah, let's do that. Let's put one over here. Bring the camera around here. I'll probably end up with one in every one of my totes and big pots, you know, that's got room to do that. Like this one, I could put it right in the corner. I've got plenty of room to plant a squash, a zucchini, a tomato plant, anything of that nature. And I've been going around trying to break up get all my tomato plants up that were dead. And I'll show you what I've been doing with them in just a sec. I try to keep these grasses and weeds from growing in there. Got bark and stuff in here. Yeah, you can put anything in here that you would in your compost as long as it doesn't attract ants. You don't want to put anything in there that's going to attract ant. Because you don't want to attract the ants to your plants. Got wood bark and everything else in here. But you just want it deep enough that your holes are covered. And those holes are big enough for worms to go in if, you know, worms get up in your tote. I'm making sure I got dirt around all sides of it. And you can still put compost in here. And see, I've got this one, I can put in another one. I'm just making sure I got my holes covered up. But I call that my plant food box. And whenever it rains, your probably take it up because I don't know what I'm going to plant in there yet. I'm going to try to get some zucchini and squash really going good this year. I haven't had them going good in a while. So but you see that. That's an old root from the tomato plant I had in here. Good gracious, that put out some roots. My goodness, look at the roots that this tomato plant put out. Look at that. But this is all homemade soil that I made with, I mean, you could even put something like this down in there if you could get it through there. And it will break down. And then get you some leaves and put that in there too. The roots. But you can still mix up your dirt. Turn it around. And like I said, you know, I'm still going to water with compost tea as much as possible. That's your plant food as well. Because that's what you're actually making right here in this is compost tea. But it'll be stronger than what you water with. Now, that is ready to plant. Because I can plant, my soil is rich enough that I can go ahead and plant in there right now. The other one too. All of my totes have rich soil. I can go ahead and plant right directly in them. And then after my plants get to growing, I can put fish emulsion or some really good strong compost tea, or put these containers in here and put leaves and different things in there to break down to make plant food. I think I'm going to put one back here. And putting these pots do about the same thing. You know, when you fix a fresh pot and you got fresh dirt in it and compost in it, you can put it right down in the corner of your right down in the corner of your tote. I don't think that is alive. But I've already got a hole. And I'm probably going to want to put more dirt in here. It helps keep your and see, I had little tiny tomatoes. I can throw them right in there. They fell off of the bush. But you know how you're always walking around the garden and you might be breaking off leaves, you know, like this right here. I don't think you can see where I broke it from, but I broke it from one of the tree collards, right, like this. These leaves right here, they're good to stick right down in there. And really I need to turn it this way because I want that opening to be facing this way so I have easier access to it. And I'll use those till the plastic breaks down, and then by then I can replace them with something else. And I can put this in another bucket, or I can, since I need more dirt in here, and this one was just sitting here. I had planted holy basil in it, but it didn't do any good. But that one's just sitting there. This one is basically sitting here. And I think what I'll do is dump this one out. Goodness gracious. See, I want to show you, look at the roots on this. It put roots right down through the bottom. You can see that they went right through the bottom, right into the tote, and that's how it kept alive, because it went down and got the moisture out of the tote itself. And I'm going to dump that one in. I'll put some fresh dirt in this one. Because I needed to put a little bit more dirt in here. I mean, really, you don't have to have a lot of dirt. You don't even have to have it half full. As long as you've got good, strong compost and good dirt in it. Like the compost that I make myself. But yeah, you can just set these on top. You don't even have to dig them down. And it helps keep everything moist. These are just pepper plants that have died. But now that's ready to go. And I'll keep all my tomato stakes to one side until I decide what I'm going to plant where, because I don't know if I'm going to need a tomato stake in that tote or not. I need to make some more platforms for my totes, because I got a couple more totes in the shed that I need to get up off the ground if I plant in them. So and every once in a while when I'm out here, I'll come through and I'm pulling some of these dead ones out. That was a dead pepper plant. Look at that. A pepper that got frozen. I'm going to put that right in this little container. Because that's going to make good plant food. Right there. So anything like that, any of the little plants that died, the leaves that you can break off of your collards or your greens and throw in there, all that's going to work. And I see some right now that I can get and show you. Like right down here, if I can get this camera around, right here, look at all this. All these leaves that are turning yellow. That's what I'm talking about. You don't want to pull your good leaves, but you always got leaves that are going to turn yellow, and you're not going to want to eat them. So you get all that kind of leaf. And see that little, it's a little hole, but it's big enough you can stick that down in there. And then when you water, you can squirt a little bit of water in there. And when you water too, the water's going to go from the dirt in the pot, the tote, into the little container. So that'll help keep it moist as well. Put this around there in the compost pile. Look at this. Look at that. You see, little buddy? Look at him. He loves hanging out in the garden with me. And Lucky would too, but he's in the house. He's asleep in his pet taxi. So I just left him there. But yeah, every time I come across one of those containers, it's at least a 32 ounce one is big enough. And that way you don't have you don't have to buy containers. I mean, if you can afford to buy pitchers and stuff like that are like round cylinders to use, you know, more power to you, but I don't want to spend that kind of money. And I am going to lower this shade cloth here on that because it's way too high. It's way too high. And some of them I'll probably have to break off because I don't need it to be that tall. Well, I'm going to leave it for now, but I'm thinking about lowering it. I don't need the shade cloth that high up off the ground. I'll lower it so the shade cloth can go all the way to the back. Yeah, and pretty soon I've got to get some more poles to put up to run my shade cloth up. I've been thinking about using these poles that were left from these poles here that were the corner poles before, but I'm worried that they may not be strong enough. And you know, the wind pulled my concrete over with the poles last year and the year before. So if I leave those poles, I'm going to have to make the platform, the concrete platform, bigger. Maybe go around it with cinder blocks and fill it in with concrete. I don't know. But because that's not heavy enough to keep the wind from whipping it over. Not as strong as the wind gets here. So we'll have to see about that. I've got sawdust all over my camera and my tripod. But I wanted to show you too what I've been doing over here. I've been here, let me put this spade in. I can open the tripod with one hand. Sorry about that, y'all. But let me put these down. But you can see I've been breaking down the dead tomato plants off of the arbor there and off of the other poles. And I've just been wadding them up and sticking them in the top of the totes for right now. You know, I put them in all these totes right around here. That's so later, if I want to build another tote, I can come here and get a handful of this and put it in the tote to build more soil. Or I can leave it here, let it break down, put dirt on top of it, and it'll make more soil right in that tote. I put a little bit in here. And it looks like my tree collard is going to survive, y'all. It's still green, but we still got, they said we should get snow and ice, rain and snow, the end of February. To wind down our winter. So I don't know how bad that'll be. See, I broke those down and stuffed them in there because that's a good soil builder right there. You don't want to throw any of your dead plants away. Just break them off, put them in your totes, or throw them in top of your compost pile like I got over there. See, I've been doing it with all of the tomato plants. I haven't broke down all the pepper plants yet. Some of those are still green. So I'm going to leave them. If they can survive, they'll survive. And if they don't, I'll pull them out. They're easy enough to pull out. And I've got collards still growing that survived here. So, you know, collards will live right through a cold spell. They don't mind the snow and the ice. And I got some collards here and these. So I decided I'm just going to leave them, see what happens. And I got these totes over there that I had my potatoes in last year. We'll see. I'm not decided what I'm going to put in there this year. But, yeah, that's what I wanted to show you, what I'm doing. So it's something you can do if you're planning on doing another garden this year. And my rosemary is going to survive. It's going to come back this year. You know, part of that's still green. And it's a perennial, so... Oh, it smells so good, y'all. Just going like that, it made it just release the smell. Oh, it smells so good. Oh, wow. And see, I put some of the tomato plants there. I still got these pepper plants here to get rid of. But I'm not doing it all in one day. I've got a lot of stuff going on. I think this is perpetual spinach here. And it should survive, even the snow. The roots will, and it'll come back out from the roots. Will on the other side of the garden as well. I don't know about these. They're probably gone. But look at that. It's an evergreen bush, y'all. It was not a mandevilla. It was marked. It had a mandevilla tag on it. It was supposed to be a red mandevilla. That's why I planted it there, thinking it would grow up the arbor and have pretty flowers. And it's an evergreen. They got the labels mixed up. But I'm going to leave it. It's growing good. If I move it, it'll probably die. So I'm just going to leave it there. My mandevilla, or not my mandevilla, but my clematis and everything else that'll come up in this pot this summer can just grow right up the evergreen and go on to the arbor. But yeah, they're over there. They've been working on that house for days and days and days. They take a break, and now they started working again, but they've been digging, I'm sure, for the septic system. They started digging in the back, and for some reason they filled it up and come around and was digging in the front. So I guess they're going to go ahead and put the septic in the front yard. But that's one reason I waited as late as I did to get this video done, is because there was so much noise. It was about to overpower my sound of my video. So, I mean, you know, if you got actual dead plants in your garden, like my tomato plants were, just go ahead and break them down. Don't throw them away. Put them in your totes. Put them in your pots. Put them in your buckets. Or get you an empty tote or empty big pot and start filling it up to build soil in it. Because that's free dirt there. Free soil. That's nature soil for you. It'll break down once it's covered over with some more dirt. And you'll never know that it was broken down tomato vines in there. It'll break down and it's going to be just plain garden soil. Yeah, I've been doing a little bit every day. And I think I'm probably going to shorten this one. I don't know. The reason I had them so tall is because I plant a lot of the grape tomatoes, the cherry tomatoes. What was the other one? Sun golds. All the little tiny tomatoes that grow like a vine, and they get 12, 15 foot tall. And I hated to cut them off, so I put high trellises. But I think this year instead I'm going to try cutting them back and see how they do, or I might cut part of them back and see how well they do cutting, you know, to kind of control their growth and see if they'll put out more tomatoes on what's left of the plant, or whether they'll do better just to let them grow wherever they want to grow and try to stake them up like I've been doing. But they kind of get out of control that way. They go everywhere. But, you know, when they put out tomatoes, you don't mind it. And see, I've got dead limbs falling out of my trees, and I'm saving them too because they'll go in the very bottom of your totes and buckets to build more soil. So that's all free dirt. So don't forget, if you want to make your own fertilizer, get you some containers and do like I did. Just, you know, those soldering irons are real cheap. You can get one for $5, $10, less than 10. And they heat up real fast. They make a hole pretty fast. Easy to use, but they do get extremely hot, so you have to be careful. And make you some containers to produce plant food for your plant right in the tote that your plant's growing in. And look at my tree collards here. They're going to be surviving. And I've got about 5 or 6 tree collards in the house that I did cuttings of because I was afraid these were going to freeze and die. But you can see they're still alive. Most of the greens out here are still alive. These are still alive. They look kind of shabby right now because the leaves did freeze. But once it starts warming up, they're going to start growing. Look at that. Yeah, all those leaves that's drooped down that you can cut off, you can put all those in those little containers to make plant food for your plants in your totes. So if you have any little food grade little containers like that. Yeah, I don't think I want any bigger than this one. That's a 32 ounce. I don't want anything bigger than that because it takes up too much room. That's plenty big because even like a tea pitcher, a plastic tea pitcher, would take up about that much space, a round one. But I don't want to even go to the Dollar Tree and spend $1 or $2 or $3 for a plastic tea pitcher to stick down there with a lid when I can get containers for free. And I think my rosemary here is going to survive. I think it's going to come out next year. I've been remembering to keep it watered. I've got okra here next to it. And that was volunteer okra that came up. You see my tree collards here? I just had already decided I was not going to let these get very tall. I'd break them off and let them bush out because I harvest the leaves and cook. And there's perpetual spinach there. As cold as it's gotten a few nights, it's still pretty, considering. Ain't that right, little buddy? Huh? Ain't that right? So that's a tip that I wanted to share with you. Save your little containers, you know, if you have lids with them. You do need the lids. And you can make your own plant food right in the planter with your plant. And see how the cold does that perpetual spinach. It dies down a little bit, but it'll survive. And as soon as it warms up and we don't have any more freezes, that stuff will take off and start growing, and it'll produce a pretty plant again. I don't know if this one has made it or not. It's a pretty sturdy one, but I have my doubts about it. But that's okay if it doesn't make it. I've got enough back there in the garden and on the other side of the house. And the 5 or 6 I've got in the house that's rooting right now. So, hopefully the next video I do will be on my cabinet here. I know all the screws look kind of terrible, but it's going to have a dark stain on it. So those screws are going to kind of disappear. And there's my little braces for my shelves to sit on. You know, I don't have to have them pretty because the shelves are going to be on top. And you're not going to see those braces anyway. You're not even going to know they're there, really. Just like this one up here. It's got a brace underneath it right there. Because if I wanted to, I could take that shelf out. And if I want to take these bottom shelves out, I could probably take them out later. We'll just see. But I've already shared what I wanted to share with you about your little food containers. Don't throw them away. Save them. If you got a lid that fastens down on them, like I said, a coffee ground container. They're a pretty good size. That'd be perfect to use for a compost tea or food container for your plants. That way you don't have to buy them. So I'm going to let you go, and I'm going to see if I can get something else done. So thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I appreciate you, watching my video today and all the days that you do, all the lives that you attend with me. And don't forget, please like, share, and subscribe to my videos if you haven't already. Tell your friends about my videos. And I'll catch you on the next one. Love y'all. Bye now.